Is there more bullshit now than there was, say, 100 years ago, or ever before?
The increase in the amount of bullshit in contemporary life, as compared with, as you say, 100 years ago, is because of the intensity of the marketing motive in contemporary society. We're constantly marketing things, selling products, selling people, selling candidates, selling programs, selling policies. And once you start out by supposing that your object is to sell something, then your object is not to tell the truth about it, but to get people to believe what you want them to believe about it. And so this encourages a resort to bullshit. I think that the tendency to bullshit is encouraged and promoted by the fact that it's a widespread view in a democratic society that a responsible citizen ought to have an opinion about everything. Well, you can't know very much about everything, and so your opinions are likely to be based upon bullshit.
You mentioned democratization as a function of bullshit. What about education? Are more highly educated people more likely to engage in bullshit just because they have the faculties to do so? I mean, are we more likely to be twits here at Princeton University than in some other part of the country?
I think it's not only that highly educated people have the linguistic and intellectual gifts that enable them to create bullshit, but also I think that a lot of people who are highly educated acquire a kind of arrogance that leads them to be negligent about truth and falsity. They have a lot of confidence in their own opinions. And this may also encourage them to produce bullshit.
Can you give us any sort of salient examples today of bullshit? Not that you're just a walking bullshit meter, which is actually an expression people use, but can you give us sort of some working examples that we might be familiar with?
I can think of one, but I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't want to get into political controversies. But what I was thinking of was Senator Kerry's representing himself as qualified to be commander-in-chief because he had served courageously on a swift boat during the Vietnamese War, as if courage in the context of battlefield situation has anything at all to do with the kind of judgment and discrimination that's required for making the kind of large-scale strategic and tactical decisions that the commander-in-chief will be called upon to make. So I think that all this stuff about, Band of Brothers and all that sort of thing, and how courageous I was and how heroically I performed, that was all a lot of bullshit.
Because it might not have been necessarily false in itself,
yes, no.
But it just was sort of impertinent.
I wasn't suggesting that what he said was false. I mean, many people have suggested that,
right.
But I don't really know that. I'm prepared to take him on at his word. But that it didn't really make any difference whether it was true or false.
Right. Is there anything that we should do about bullshit? Can anything be done to it, or is it just a universal human tendency?
Yeah, that's another good question. I don't know, first of all, whether we want to do anything about it. It's what I suggested before. I don't really understand what our attitude towards it is, whether we feel that it's something we want to get rid of or whether it's something that serves a valuable function in the social order so that whether we know it or not, we are interested. We have an interest, whether it's conscious or subconscious or not articulated. We have an interest in, I don't know if we have an interest in promoting it, but in protecting it, in seeing to it that it's tolerated, that it's not punished, that it's not regarded as reprehensible as lying, let's say, is regarded. I do think we should take steps to get rid of lying, but bullshit is a more equivocal situation. I don't really know what to say about that. Do you?
Well, I'm glad you asked. No. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.